Better is one day in your courts. Better is one day in your house. Better is one day in your courts. Thousands elsewhere and thousands elsewhere.
Sometime back, a man had to cross a river. It was in the middle of January. It was very, very cold, and the river was frozen. He really didn't like the idea. He could have walked to a bridge, but the bridge was almost 20 miles away, so that was way too far to go. So finally, he went down to the edge of the river, and he put his foot out on the ice, and he tested it, and he saw, yeah, it's pretty solid. And he kind of started inching his way along, but he sure felt uncomfortable about it. So finally, he got down on his hands and knees and was feeling the ice and crawling along. Finally, he even laid down flat on his stomach and was just kind of pulling himself along, feeling the ice in front of him, and slowly working his way across the river in spite of all the cold and everything. Well, when we got about halfway across, here comes this big, camp-over pickup truck, loaded with people and snowmobiles, pulling a trailer and all of this, and they just blasted right across, shot across the river and up the other side in no time flat. It's important to have faith. The driver of the truck had faith in the ice. He knew that ice was strong. And when you have faith, you have confidence, right? If you have faith, you have courage. You don't. Whereas the other guy with no faith, he's there inching along on his stomach across the river. And a lot of folks go through life that way, frightened and scared. And what should take them a very short time to do takes them forever because they're afraid. Well, a couple of months went by, and it was March. And the man had to cross the river again. And he goes down, and once again, he's testing the river with his foot, slowly inches out on it, finally gets down on his hands and knees, and eventually stretches out flat, and there he is, working his way across the river again, slowly feeling his way ahead of him. And he gets out about halfway, and there's a loud crack, and the ice breaks from underneath him, and down he goes. Okay. About 20 minutes later, here comes that pickup truck again, loaded with people and snowmobiles and pulling a trailer full of junk, and they come flying out across the river, get about halfway out, there's a tremendous crack. Down goes the pickup truck, and they're gone too. See, it's not only important that we have faith, it's important what we have faith in. Okay? And that brings us to today. Every year at this time of the year, we hear about our future. And for a lot of people, it's something to be terrified by. That the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the skies, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. And a lot of folks key in on that. There's a movie going to be coming out, in fact, called 2012. And it's about the end of the world. Supposedly the Mayan calendar says that the end of the world is going to happen on December something or other, 2012. Now, I think if you ask an old Mayan, he'd probably say, well, it's just going to start over again. The calendar comes to an end, it just starts over again, Been doing that for thousands of years. See, the thing is, we buy into this nonsense, this idea of the end of the world. And a lot of times that makes people frightened. You remember back, I've talked to you about this before, the year 1999. People going bananas over the millennium, over Y2K, over was it going to be the end of the world? There in Texas where I was stationed, I'd get stopped on the street, in the barber shop. I do go there once in a while. Even in confession, being asked, Father, do you really think it's going to be the end of the world? Now, I'm the worst person to ask that question because my answer is, boy, I sure hope so, don't you? See, I understand something that they're missing. The world is not going to end, it's going to be redeemed. That's what matters. Notice what it says. with all of the rest of it, the part they miss, and then we will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And he will send out the angels to gather his elect from the four winds and from the earth to the end of the sky. This is not a time to be afraid. This is a time to be joyful. After all, we pray for it every day, don't we? We're going to do it here in a few minutes. Isn't that what it means when we say, thy kingdom come? You know, what we need to do is recapture the faith of the earliest Christians. The first couple of 100 years of Christianity, whenever they wrote about things like this, it was always filled with joyful excitement and hope because they knew when Jesus came, he was going, to make everything right. That when he came, it meant the end of suffering, it meant the end of pain, it meant the end of sorrow, and it meant the end of death. It meant the fulfillment of all of our hopes and dreams. That's why when somebody asks me, my answer is, boy, I sure hope so. In fact, I hope that this is the last Mass ever celebrated on the face of the earth. That before we finish here tonight, he comes. Because it is nothing to be afraid of. We have these fear mongers that are telling you, oh, you better get ready. The signs are showing it. Hogwash. They've been saying that for 2,000 years, and they're always wrong. And you know why they're wrong?
Better is one day in your courts, better is one day in your house, better is one day in your courts, thousands elsewhere, and thousands elsewhere.